What in the world are we doing? And that's a really good question. I bet many of you have that question right now. Maybe you're asking this from the outside and you're not part of the ACF church family and you're looking in at ACF and going, what are they doing? And if you're asking that, that's a really great question for this time and place that we find ourselves in right now. So I grew up as a military kid and traveled around a lot. And when we would move to a new location, we would often move into what's called TLF, or Temporary Living Facility. And one of the things you did is you just kind of went in there, and when I was a kid, I would just trash the place, right? Because I wasn't going to be there long. And so I'd bring my bag in, and I'd open it up, and I'd pull out all my clothes, and I would just live sort of in this temporary place for a week or two until we'd get into our permanent living situation. Well, we're in an interesting place as a church. In fact, we're very fortunate that we have a building on Brooks Loop in Eagle River. ACF Church has this beautiful building that over the past couple of years we've spent a lot of energy and time and our personal finances to remodel and build, and it is looking incredible. In fact, if you want to, I would love for you to set up an appointment, just connect with our office and do a walkthrough, because our kids space is looking incredible. They are continuing work down there. Over the course of this summer, we've actually finished a roof on the building. We had a 40-year-old roof that was really worn out. And we're actually moving forward to prepare the building for the final phase of build, which is a lobby on the front, a communal space where we can build relationships and connect with each other before and after our gatherings and throughout the week. And so that's all good and fine, but some of you are going, hey, wait a minute, didn't we just become a house church movement? And so what does that mean for our Brooks Loop facility? One of the things you need to know is we've been on a journey called ACF Next Step. And ACF Next Step is an Acts 1:8 mission, that we be a church that goes to our Jerusalem, our Judea, our Samaria, to the very ends of the earth. And we as a leadership team had gotten together and really felt like our Jerusalem was Brooks Loop, that building. We wanted to finish that building, and then our second level of Next Step was to go and plant ACF outposts, these home churches. And this has been in the works for over a year now. Well, COVID-19 hit, and we started looking at things and realizing centralized church happening at Brooks Loop is probably not going to be the most effective way to reach our city with the gospel right now. So what are the things that we could do? And I'll tell you, the temptation has been there for us to simply just hit pause on ministry. The easiest thing to do, the easiest thing would be to continue to just provide a live stream and let people watch it as individuals in their homes, and then as soon as we can, just to do small gatherings at Brooks Loop and slowly increase the size of those gatherings based on the government mandates. But what we realized is that this is an incredible opportunity to go hard after the mission that God has for us, to be an Acts 1:8 church that meets in homes and actually goes on mission together, serves together, worships together, grows together. And when those things happen, hear me, you are the church. And I've said this from the beginning, and I hope you've heard this, that we don't love buildings. We're grateful for our facilities, but we love people. We are all about people. We're all about our city. And do you know there are people that would never step foot in our building, but they will step foot in your house on a Sunday morning when you hand them a hot cup of coffee. There are friends of yours and friends of mine that we can actually invite over into spiritual conversations. There are people in our church who have showed up on Sunday morning and not been known, who don't have a sense of accountability or aren't known in a deep sense. And so those people now have an opportunity to be invited into your space, or they can invite other people into their space. And as our staff has prayed about this, we are going to do everything we can to equip you and resource you to do this, to lead these ACF outposts. And so we just realized as a leadership team that God is handing us an incredible opportunity to actually reach more people for Jesus than ever. One of the challenges we've had on Brooks Loop for many years is this: as our church comes into the fall, we start growing, we are just continually running out of room. That's a really great problem to have. We've been running 4 to 5 services consistently week to week, When it comes to Christmas and Easter, we're doing many gatherings. We're meeting in large spaces in the high school and off-site, doing whatever we can to get the most people engaged. And you need to hear this. Please understand this. We are going to continue to do that as much as we can. We have this incredible building that is a beacon of light in our community. People who don't know Jesus and they don't know what to do next, what they do many times is they just look for a church building to go to. And so our goal is to actually launch an outpost in our Brooks Loop building. And so as soon as we can gather enough people together indoors and do that safely, what we're going to do is we're actually going to have an outpost there. And so we're going to start by having a video message, the same thing you're experiencing in your homes at Brooks Loop. And so our friends and neighbors that don't know anybody from the church but just simply want to ask some spiritual questions or dig deeper in their faith, they can come to Brooks Loop. They'll be greeted, they'll be ushered indoors, there'll be a gathering of people there, they'll have conversation about the message, and then maybe even plug into a church, one of our outposts throughout the city. And so we're going to start with that, and then here's the next thing. At some point, you guys, at some point, we're praying it's Christmas Eve of this year. We are going to blow the doors off with some large gatherings, getting the whole family together at our Brooks Loop campus. We don't know exactly when that's going to happen. Some Christians believe that the church should not meet in large gatherings and doesn't need a building. And certainly that's the case. We don't need a building. Some people would even go so far as to say that it's unbiblical to have these large gatherings and that the church should only meet in homes. And I just want you to know that's not what we believe at all. We actually believe both, and that the church was meant to actually be alive in homes. And so much, probably most of the ministry that the church is called to do happens in the home and in our workplaces and throughout the city throughout the week. But then there's also this vision of having large groups together that we see that we're part of this bigger movement of people. It's not just us in our own little homes, in our own little spaces, but we're part of this large gathering and large movement of people. And so, guys, nobody wants to meet together with everyone as much as I do. I just want you to know that. I want that more than everyone, but you know what I want more than anything? Is to see people come to know Jesus. And so for you right now, you need to know a couple things about this decision. First, it's a missional decision. We want to go on mission and reach the most people with the gospel right now. We have over 40 of you already signed up to host outposts, and it's our goal to launch 100 of them by September 1st. And so, I'm so proud of you. I just want you to know that this is not a time to just get comfortable and sit back or to wait for someone else. And know this, if you're not comfortable hosting an outpost, we're not going to shame you. Don't feel any shame in that. If you feel unsafe doing that, we totally understand that. But I'm asking you to pray with me right now and ask God, is this my mission? Is this something you're asking me to do? Is this something that we as a family could do together to actually own our church, maybe more than ever? And so it's been a missional decision. It's also a practical decision. Some people have asked the question, well, why aren't we standing up to the government? You know, are we simply bowing to the government in some way or another? Is that what ACF is doing when we need to stand up for our rights? That's a big conversation, but you need to understand this. We have talked this through, and we have searched the scriptures, and we have prayed together over all of this, and we don't feel that this is the moment for ACF to stand up and participate in civil disobedience. We do feel, however, that at some point the church may have to participate in that. There may come a time where things are actually a biblical issue that we as a church would say, hey, we are not going to participate in something the government asks us to do. But we as a church, if this isn't about justice, biblical justice, if this isn't about caring for the needs of our community, if this isn't keeping us from the mission that God ultimately has us on, then we're going to move forward in creative ways as a church, and we're going to do that with joy in our hearts and honor towards the leaders that are set over us. And so we just don't believe in Hebrews 10 when it says that we shouldn't forsake the gathering together, that when we meet in homes, we don't believe that we're just forsaking the gathering. We're actually meeting together. And we understand that the early church in the first century, it wasn't until the 3rd century that the church, the Christian church, actually owned buildings. For the first couple of centuries, the church met in public spaces and would meet around town, but also primarily would meet in homes, would do ministry in homes. And I really believe that God worked through the early church. And guys, I believe God's going to work through ACF Church as well. And so we feel confident right now that this is a time for us to honor the mandate that's been put out, but to step forward on mission the way that God has called us to as a church. And so know this, ACF Next Step is happening. We're moving forward with this. We still hope to expand our building next year and finish out that build out and finish out what's going on at Brooks Loop. But this is one of the biggest deals, is when we're meeting in homes across our city, the potential of us reaching more people for the gospel is incredible. I would actually love in the next year to see many of these outposts continue. What you might do is you might love so much meeting together in your home that you're like, hey, we're gonna go to Brooks Loop maybe once or twice a month. But then the other weeks, we're gonna meet in my house with my unchurched friends and neighbors. They're gonna come to our house. We're gonna talk about the message for that week. And we're gonna continue doing that. And if you did that, think about how big of a reach it would be that ACF Church was doing that. Think if 500 of you were in homes across the city, and you could host 10 to 15 people in each home. Think about how greater of a reach that is than what we could actually pack into a building on a Sunday morning, or how many services we could pump out as a team. And so the potential is incredible if we simply own this as a God-ordained way to fulfill the mission that He's given us as a church. So this is a very ancient way of doing church. It's not a new thing, and we're just trying to be faithful to this, so please hear my heart. This is about reaching the lost. This is about loving our city. And this is about leveraging the moment that God has given us more than anything to go on mission and to show people how much God loves them. And so that's our heart, that's my goal. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being on mission together. Thank you for continuing to give. This month is the last month of the previous phase of Next Step Giving. And so we asked you to pray about giving over the course of a time. Many of you pledged. And so we know as a family, the Cook family is giving our pledged money this month. And so if you're able to continue to do that, we just encourage you to give to ACF Next Step. And those funds will be used to continue us on mission, not just to give to a building, but also to build the infrastructure to support these incredible outposts that are birthing right now as a church. And so you guys, we're going on mission together. This is our new normal. Unpack your bags. Don't live in temporary living facilities for too long, right? That's a way to waste your life. Unpack your bags, go on mission with us, and let's reach our city for the gospel.